Isaiah 61, verse 1. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Lawrencecharris, and I'm a youth empowerment speaker. I spent the last 4 years specializing in helping teens and young adults build self-love, confidence, and a positive outlook on life. In addition to that, I've written books, which you can find in the description below. If you'd like to bring me on your podcast or bring me in for a speaking engagement, you can also find my contact information below. And what I want to talk to you about today is this notion of purpose, this notion of what am I here to do? I believe that from the very beginning, all of us have an assignment. There's something that God puts in our heart or puts in our mind and in our spirit that we are sent here to do. For some people, that's feeding the homeless. For some people, that's curing hunger. It's a lot of things out there. But for me, I've always felt this inclination to helping people realize their worth. And the way I got into this was not to go into all the details, but throughout my life, I've had a series of events that have made me feel worthless, to put it plainly. Made me feel as if no one ever understood me, that I just could never fit in. I remember always believing that nothing would ever get better for me. And I was never like out on the streets homeless or anything, but for many years I felt like I had no home. I had a place to sleep, I had a roof over my head, but I would often feel like I was in this mental prison and that I could never find a way out. And unfortunately, a lot of people, when they're in that kind of headspace, they take themselves out. But thankfully, I didn't. Thankfully, I never did that. And it was in those times that I began to realize that there's got to be somebody out there who can relate to me. There had to be somebody out there who understands and gets this and relates to me. So when I was 15, I started making TikToks and YouTube videos and just putting stuff out there. Really as a means of trying to inspire and motivate people and help them realize their worth. Fast forward, a couple years, and now this is my career. This is what I do. I write books on it. I travel. I get on podcasts. I'm up on stages and whatnot. But the real essence of this is I just want to help people understand, teens and young adults in particular, that your life matters. Because I've met a lot of people who have been homeless, like actually on the streets homeless. I met people who used to be addicts. I met people who were victims of crimes. I met people who have had things done to them unconsensually. I met people of all different backgrounds, shapes, sizes, and colors. And something I've realized is you never know what somebody's been through until they open up and tell you. You never know what's going on in their head. You never know the thing that keep them up at night. You never know what has happened to make them the way they are. Because it's really easy for us to look at somebody and label them and say they're an addict or they're this or they're that, and we tear them down and degrade them. But rarely do we ever ask what led them to be that way. Because a lot of people are walking around freely, but mentally they're in this prison of, I can never be this. Nobody love me. Nobody gonna help me. The world is so evil. They're in this mental prison. But the thing is that all of us at some point or another will find ourselves there. And most people don't find a way out. And a lot of people, hurt themselves, they hurt others, and they are just trying to escape. That escape can come in the form of a temporary high. It can come in the form of hurting others or hurting themselves. And it's unfortunate, but when we actually look into it, you'd be surprised how common this is. Like, throughout my daily life, I have people who recognize me from my TikToks and stuff, and they'll come out to me. And I had one guy tell me that my video convinced him to not take himself out. It was like, man, I know you don't know me, but your video got me through some stuff. I've had people DM me things like, man, just keep posting this content. Man, and my younger self will really be proud of me. My younger self really would be amazed, because initially I started this as a way of helping myself, like to try and get my emotions and vent what I was going through and put that out into the world. And hopefully somebody would see that and know that they're not the only one. To know that even in a world that can try and degrade you and tell you that, oh, you're not this height or this shape or this color, or your hair don't look this way, or you talk funny, or your money or your car or your house or this or whatever, that even without all those things, you matter, because you're not enough based on the world standards, but you have always been enough because God made you how you are. God made you perfect. God made you in his image. But the world detaches us from this. The world makes us believe that if I'm not 6'9" and I'm not a multi-billionaire and I'm not making $100,000 at 15 years old, that I'm worthless. The world will really try to convince you to look at what's in this material world rather than staying connected to the fact that you were not made in the world's image, you were made in God's image. So, by that very nature, you are more than what the world tells you that you are. You're not defined by that bank account. You're not defined by your muscles. You're not defined by how you look. You're not defined by what you have or don't have. You are defined by who you are and what God made you to be. So be what God has ordained you to be. And it's not something that you're just going to wake up one day and know. You're not just going to wake up one day and know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do in my life, and just dedicate yourself to that. You got to go through some stuff to figure it out. You have to dig deep inside of you and realize that I didn't go through all that pain to just for that to be for nothing. I went through that as a way of me being able to better understand myself and preparing me to do what I do today. Because I don't come on these videos of some chat GBT script. I don't write this down. I speak from the heart. I speak from what I've lived. I speak from what I've seen, and I speak from what I know, because I know what I've been through. I know what others have been through, and I come on here as a way of speaking for those who feel like they have no voice, to help those who feel helpless, to give a vision to those who can't see anything bigger for themselves. And I know that it's a lot of people out there who are just suffering in silence. But if you don't speak up, nobody can help. If you don't speak up, people can't support you. If you don't speak up, can't nobody do anything for you, because they don't know. People aren't mind readers. And that's something I had to learn myself, because it was a lot of times when, even though I had a therapist, even though I had family who cared about me, I didn't want to tell them how I was really feeling, because I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want people to look at me and say, oh, you soft. Oh, you need to man up. Oh, you need to toughen up. But I started looking back and I asked myself, well, where'd that coming from? Where'd that voice coming from? Where'd those thoughts coming from that you're not good enough if you don't do this, or you don't act this way, or you don't talk this way? Where's that coming from? And I realized it was coming from the very people who hurt me when I was younger. And That's a tough realization to have. It's really tough when you dig into yourself and realize these things. It's really tough when you realize that the pain that we have went through, until we do the work to heal it, you're going to be carrying that with you until the day you die. And it's like a lot of people are dead before they get put in the grave because they allowed their dream to die. They allowed their hope to die. They allowed that inner child, that love, that light, that joy for the world to die before they got put in the grave. And they just walking around thinking that everybody don't care. Everybody's evil. Nothing's ever going to get better. But the irony, though, is that there's a reason why they think that. There's a reason why I used to feel that way. There's a reason why a lot of people feel that way, because somebody hurt them. Somebody did something to them. Somebody, traumatized them. They saw something they shouldn't have growing up. People said things to them. Somebody might have, hurt them in some sort of way. And that pain is deep. It's deep, okay? Because that's real. That pain you went through, that trauma, that abuse, whatever, that's real. But you don't have to allow what the world did to you to define you. You don't have to allow what the world did to you to keep you stuck. You don't have to allow that to keep you trapped. And I know it's hard, trust me, because I've done it myself. It ain't easy. This is not no overnight solution. I'm not here telling you, oh, do this one thing and it'll all be better. But the one thing is a whole lot of things. The one thing is you got to admit that happened. You got to get honest with yourself. You might have to get you some therapy. You might have to get a journal. You might have to get somebody to keep an eye on you. You might have to do a lot of things, and it ain't going to be easy. I know it's not, but it's possible. I am an example that it's possible. I am an example that you could be something even when the world says you can't. I am an example that you can make your own way. I am an example that you can find something that you're passionate about and give back to the world that hurt you. Because yes, the world hurt me, but I decided instead of me going out and hurting the world, I'm going to help and heal the world. I'm going to do what I wish people did for me when I was younger. I'm going to be what I needed when I was younger. I'm going to be somebody that I can go to the grave and know I did something good for this world. I help people realize that they worth something, even in the world that tell them that they're not. Whether you buy my book, whether you come to my events, whatever, I don't care. Okay, I really do appreciate the support people give me. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the DMs. But I don't do it for that. I do this for the kids out there, for the teenagers out there who feel like nothing gonna get better for them. I don't do this for the support and validation. I do this because I know somebody out there needs this. I don't do this because, oh, I just feel like it. No, I do this because it is something that is put on my spirit to do. I don't do this because I feel good, which I do, but I do this because I know that somebody out there feels like nothing, and I want them to feel like something. I want them to wake up proud in the morning. I want them to be able to look at the sky and be glad that God made them. I want them to be able to realize that there is something to their life. I want them to be able to realize that they're not just a waste of space. I want them to realize that even in a world that constantly tells them that they're worthless, that they're worth something. Your worth and your value is not in your bank account. It is not in your muscles. It is not in your car. It is not in your house. It's not in none of that. Your worth was given to you by God himself on the day you were born. Even before that. Because I can't remember where, but it's a verse in there that says, I knew you before you were even formed in the womb. I knew what I put in you. I knew what I sent you here to do. I knew that you got value in this world. But you can't keep listening to what the world tells you about yourself. You got to listen to what you and what God tells you about yourself. Because God said you were made in my image. So if you were made in the image of an all-powerful creator, then that means that you were made to do something. That means that you were put in this world for a reason. That means that from the very moment you were born, God knew. I made that right there. All glory be to God, okay? Because this right here, I'm not even just speaking from what I'm thinking. I'm not even thinking right now. I'm speaking from my spirit. I'm speaking from my heart. And what I want you to take from this video is very plain and simple. Understand that you have a reason to be here. Understand that you're not what the world tells you that you are. Understand that just because somebody hurts you, and it's valid for you to be upset about that. You gotta feel those emotions, but that don't mean you go hurt the world. That means that you do what you need to do to heal yourself and then go out there and help make sure that other people don't hurt themselves or hurt others. Find what you are meant to do. Get into that purpose and give something back to the world. The world that hurts you, heal it. Because everybody in this world did not hurt you. It's people out there who God put you here to help. God put you here for a reason. And it just so happens that my reason is to help people through my words, to help people through my books, to help people through consultations, and give this value to the world. And on that note, I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day. Remember, you're not what the world tells you that you are. You are what God tells you that you are. Because God's vision of you is much bigger than anything this world can say. I don't care what the world says. I care about what I say and what God said. And with that said, if you'd like to get my books in the description below, as well as an upcoming event I'm doing on August the 2nd at my office, you can get that, the link for that in the description as well. Have a good one.